This podcast is brought to you by People's Food Co-op, a community-owned grocery store in downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin and Rochester, Minnesota, that promotes local farmers and producers through an emphasis on fresh, healthy, sustainable food. Anyone can shop. Everyone is welcome. For more information, visit them online at pfc.coop. This podcast is also brought to you by Trempealeau County Tourism. Whether your idea of fun is bicycling, hiking, or canoeing, afterwards head into the heart of one of their welcoming communities to experience historic architecture, independent shops, and locally owned dining establishments. Visit Trempealeau County Tourism online. Artspire is back with a full weekend of art at the Pump House Regional Art Center. Enjoy live music from Cloud Cult, Bill Miller, and B2 Winds, plus a fine art fair, interactive art projects, and visual and performing arts. June 10th through 11th. Learn more at artspire.thepumphouse.org. We headed north to chat with Ginger Porcella of the Franconia Sculpture Park. We connected to talk about their inaugural contemporary art festival, 4Ground, Midwest Land Art Biennial, taking place June through August 2022. We talk about the artist projects, programming, multi-venue events, and how to get involved and attend. You can find more conversations, food reviews, live music, and events on our website, lacrosselocal.com. I'm Amy.
And I'm Brent.
And this is La Crosse Local.
My name is Ginger Porcella. I'm the Executive Director and Chief Curator of Franconia Sculpture Park, and also the founder and co-curator of the upcoming 4Ground Midwest Land Art Biennial.
Just kind of learning about this. This is going to be the inaugural Contemporary Art Festival. It's from June through August. What is it all about?
Yeah, 4Ground was really designed over a year and a half with community conversations with a bunch of different partners, artists, museums, environmentalists, tribal groups, and we wanted to come up with a festival that really celebrated values that we all share, celebrated the upper Midwest and the art and nature of the region. So taking place this June, July, and August 2022, the inaugural festival, people will be able to go on self-guided road trips to see site-specific land art and also learn about the history of the land, the people that have lived there for generations. There's going to be tons of events, more than 30 free public programs happening all summer. So it's a sort of choose your own adventure.
Looking at this, your website, which you have a website specifically for it, 4groundbiennial.org. Looks like you have a ton of people involved. So, it looks like you have 20 plus community partners. What kind of roles do each one of these groups play, or a few of them?
Yeah, I wanted to develop something that was really co-curated and co-planned with the communities that they serve. I see a lot of festivals and, events like this where it's a lot of plop art sort of placed into the communities. And we wanted the art to really reflect the communities that the work was in. So really designed by and for the communities that they serve. So it's very site specific. So all of those partners had a lot of input into what sort of art and artists that they wanted to work with. About 18 months of monthly community convenings where we talked about everything from marketing, from artist design to evaluating. And so it's a really collaborative project from start to finish.
So does this have ties to the native land art, I assume?
Yes. So we are working with a number of contemporary Native artists whose work will be on display. There's going to be a lot of resources on each site on different land art that is adjacent to those sites. So you can learn about land art that used to exist. Unfortunately, a lot of Native land art in the upper Midwest no longer exists, including the thousands of burial mounds that used to be here that no longer exist. There are still some, but we want to raise awareness of that art that used to be here and really create a trajectory of the 10,000-year history of Native land art to land art being made today. So there will be sort of a continuous through line so you can learn about what used to be here and what artists are making now in response to that land art.
Peeling through this website too, there are a number of artist projects. Is there any one that's just, I'm sure they're all pretty cool.
They're all great.
Can you pick out a baby, or can you pick out one that's interesting for you?
There's a few that I think are really interesting. I think Marlena Miles is an artist that I really admire. She's a contemporary Dakotan artist, and she uses augmented reality to talk about the history of Dakotan land art and her people. And she goes to sites of Native significance and creates augmented reality pieces. So it's really accessible. Anyone can go to these sites and be able, using their phone, a free app, be able to pull up public art. And so she thinks about using augmented reality as a metaphor for Native people in general. Like, we're here, but you may not be able to see us. So using these apps, so you go to, say, Indian Mounds Regional Park in St. Paul, or Bruce Vento Nature Sanctuary in St. Paul, Minnesota, which are significant areas for Native people, and to be able to go there and then pull up these apps and see art and images, it's really interesting. There's another piece that I think is really exciting, and I've never worked with these artists before, and I'm very excited. Anastasia Adams and Nibiwaka Me. They are Native artists who are doing a traveling throat singing performance where they'll be setting up camp at various sites and performing, and then sort of leaving a trace of their people and their performance at each of those sites. So their first performance will be at Rochester Art Center in June, and then they'll be going to the Bellwin Conservancy in Afton in July, and then their final site will be at the Plains Art Museum in Fargo in August. So you can sort of follow along their journey, and I think that that will be a really interesting piece.
Yeah, I mean, just going to your events calendar here for the different projects, like you said, that one just totally stuck out with the throat singing, but there's also, it's kind of far and wide, everything down to Kinstone, Sculpture Garden, looks like art and poetry, dinners, discussions. You got a lot here.
We wanted to, engage people in different ways. I mean, we want to meet people where they're at, right? So like some people might just be interested in seeing the art and the installations, but if you want to dig a little deeper, if you want to meet the artists, really get to know these sites and the people, you can go to any of these events. And for me as a curator, I'm much more interested in the public programming aspect of things. And we wanted to create a festival that wasn't just like, oh, you see the art and you're like, great, and then you leave. We wanted to bring people back to these sites to further engage them. And so I feel like that's the most exciting part of it. A lot of times I think land art from an art historical context is really, people think of it as like, people moving land and, big piles of dirt. And we wanted to go much beyond that and challenge people to think what land art really is. Sure, there's going to be some art created with big piles of dirt, but there's a lot more than that as well.
How do people get connected with you? Either if they're artists and they want to get involved or just find out more information about you.
Yeah, I mean, it really was an organic process this first time. I mean, this is, as you've mentioned, it's the inaugural project. It's really a pilot program. We're already planning 2024 concurrently, so we don't have to recreate the wheel in 2 years, and hopefully it'll be much easier to do 2 years from now. But it was a hybrid process. We had some artists in mind that we wanted to work with. We did an open call, which we will certainly be doing, an open call for artists who want to participate for 2024. We'll be launching that probably summer of 2023. So stay tuned for that. We'll have it on the 4Ground website and on Franconia's website. And so it was a little bit by invitation this first time around and by open call, because we didn't frankly know what we would get through the open call. But honestly, every submission was wonderful. We could have chosen all of those projects. We were really surprised and overwhelmed by the quality and how many people applied. So we're planning on having many more sites and many more artists in 2024. And yeah, so you can get involved as a community partner, as an artist. There's a way to contact us on the website. So if you're interested in any capacity, just let us know. We'd love to work with you.
And also, besides all these projects all around the Midwest, it looks like you have the sculpture park. That's something that's a podcast in itself, but how do people find out more about that? Or do you have a little bio for it?
Yeah, Franconia Sculpture Park. We've been around for 26 years. We're located in Schaefer, Minnesota, just 45 minutes north of the Twin Cities. So it's an easy drive up from the Twin Cities. We have about 100 sculptures on 50 acres. And honestly, the development of 4Ground came out of strategic planning and sort of retooling our mission at Franconia. Our mission is about the intersection of art and ecology. And so we wanted to create a festival that really announced to the world this new vision for the park. And Franconia itself will have about 20 installations for 4Ground at it alone. So it's definitely a not to be missed site on as you plan your trip for 4Ground. And we're creating a map specifically for that when you go to Franconia, you can go explore the park and find all of the land art that's at Franconia. But yeah, we're open 365 days a year, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And we have, free public programs pretty much every weekend, Memorial Day through October. So we are busy and you won't regret coming and visiting us.
So what's the best avenue for people to follow along?
Definitely follow our Instagram, 4Ground Biennial, or Franconia MN, which is our Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, or franconia.org, 4groundbiennial.org. Either will have all of the information that you want for Franconia or 4Ground. And yeah, hopefully we see you at one of these events or one of these sites this summer.
La Crosse Local Podcast is a production of River Travel Media. Do you have an interview idea you'd like to share with us? Message us on Facebook at La Crosse Local. Find out more about us at lacrosselocal.com, and you can subscribe to the La Crosse Local Podcast on your favorite podcast app. If you like us, rate us 5 stars. We appreciate it.